All right, we're live and 15 seconds to go.
Welcome, Facebook. We're going on radio in just a couple of seconds here. Hey, Jose. Yeah, the internet went out. We can go without it today if we have to.
All right, we're back. 45 seconds.
Okay. We're back on social media?
Yes.
Oh, okay. My monitor's not on. I couldn't see it, but that's all right. You come in during the break and turn it on. So I think we're going live. We had a little technical difficulties, but I think we're going, we're on social media right now. Welcome, if we are, to the Alan Autry Show. And we're going on radio live here in just a second. So I'll be right back to you. Boy, don't I look like Bubba's grandpa with these specs? I got to get some glasses that, I know,
10 seconds.
Be like putting lipstick on a pig. I get it. But let's see.
All right.
All right, here we go.
From NFL quarterback to Hollywood to the mayor's office and now behind the mic at KXEX, this is the Alan Autry Show. No retreat.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
What the hell's going on out here? Everybody's grabbing out there. Nobody.
That the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
So, 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable. Free at last! Free at last! Thanks Almighty! Free at
Listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX. Call Alan now, 559-899-1550.
And welcome to Alan Autry No Retreat, the greatest stimulus show in America. We stimulate you to think. We stimulate you to question. We stimulate you to fight back for what's right. And hopefully, most of all, we stimulate you to love your neighbor as yourself. Welcome to the show. It's just us today, folks. You, me, Jose, and feel free. Well, we don't have the monitor on. Well, yeah, I can't see the emails, but we certainly have the phone lines open. 559-899-1550. Got a full show today. Later on, we're going to talk about, I call it the stimulus show. We're going to go through the history of stimulus packages, starting from the New Deal. And are they really as good as advertised? Have they really worked like some folks would tell us that they worked? What the history books have said. Upon, as they say in NFL, upon further inquiry, we may find that some things that we thought were true were not, things that we felt happened did not. And I can see you guys right now going, oh, God, a civics lesson from Autry, last thing I need. I promise I'm just going to highlight it. I think you will find it very, very interesting, as I did, as you study this issue further. But first of all, let me go through some things that I've gotten some emails about, even some phone calls and texts about to clarify, because I was asked to clarify some things because the text and the phone calls came from people who other people had called them and told them that I had said something. You know how that goes. Things you what's said, and then you say to somebody else, and by the end of the line, it's not anywhere near what was originally uttered. But in this case, it was. I stand by what I said yesterday on the show in terms of crime here in Fresno and who's responsible for addressing that crime. It's our mayor and our police chief in particular, and the city council, but in particular our mayor and our police chief, which is true around the country. I'm not just picking on them. If you have a strong mayor format in your city, that's what the position implies. You have a strong responsibility. You have enormous powers that have been vested in you by the people to do a good job and do what you said you were going to do when you ran for that office. And in this case, in terms of public safety, we're here at violent crime off the charts at 30, 35-year highs and going up. We're breaking records in areas that you do not want to break. Murder, rape, shootings, burglaries, car theft. All these things are just off the charts all around the country. And then you have the emergence of what they call random violence. Those crimes that I mentioned before usually had a motive, a profit motive to them. But there's also the most dangerous thing for a community is, in addition to that, when that violence becomes random. People just shoot people for fun. Just shoot people because they're bored. Shoot people because there's just nothing else to do, because they know that the consequences are going to be very slight, if any. And that's when you have a bad situation. So I stand by that. The mayor's a friend of mine. I love him like a little brother. But like a big brother, I got to hold him accountable. Get off your duff, quit making TikTok videos, and address this crime situation. And if you're going to make a TikTok video, show it of you arresting these 16 known shooters that you know where they are. I read the article. You've partnered with a group that's somehow trying to incentivize people that try to murder other people not to murder other people by incentivizing them. I don't know how, but they've already pulled the trigger at least once. Who knows how many they've killed? Again, we faced this issue in the early 2000s, and we rounded these folks up, got them off the streets, and we saw violent crime plummet to 50-year lows. It's not a complicated mathematical formula. It's, the gang members that are violent, remove them from the streets equals safer streets. Simple as that. And yes, as we address the root causes of this crime, we know some of those root causes, and by all means, invest in that as well. But you have to have short-term relief, long-term solutions. You can't wait till you have the root cause taken care of, which could take decades to rectify everything that went in to cause a criminal to become a criminal. That's a family issue. That's a moral issue. That's an economic issue, and certainly want to address it. But you can't say, well, let's wait till we get that all done before we address the violent criminals that are killing people every night. The citizens aren't going to stand for that. And we're seeing it around the country. People not afraid to stand up, not afraid to be canceled, and speaking out against this. So, again, I appeal for our own mayor and our own police chief to just simply get tough on crime. You'll have people back you up. Don't bow down to this woke left, defund the police insanity that has come upon the scene. It's not popular around the country, and it's certainly not popular in the city of Fresno and Clovis and every other city here in the valley. Okay, I made myself clear. I stand by that. Also, I've been asked, do I support this booster shot, in particular this mix and match stuff that's going on? Meaning, if you've been vaccinated with the Pfizer vaccine, can you take a Moderna booster shot? Or if you have a Johnson & Johnson vaccine, can you take a Pfizer booster shot? If you've taken 2 Moderna shots, can you take a Pfizer or Johnson & Johnson? Well, the CDC and the Biden administration has come out with this. I just shake my head. Sometimes it's just better to not say anything. Just say, we really don't know. You would really get the respect of the people, other than to say what they said, which is this. Excuse me. They said they would prefer that if you've had 2 Pfizer shots, to have a Pfizer booster. Okay, so that has to be based on some kind of analysis. We don't know what it is for them to suggest that. And if you have 2 Moderna shots, we suggest that you have a Moderna booster. Johnson & Johnson shot, Johnson & Johnson booster. All right. But then they go and say, in addition, though, if you can't, excuse me, go ahead and if you've had 2 Pfizer shots, take a Moderna if you have to. And if you have 2 Modernas, take a Pfizer. Wait a minute. Where are you pulling that out? You just said you would prefer that you take the same one, but for what reason? Is it that you've studied it and you see that there are negative consequences if you mix them, or that there's added immunity, vaccination benefits if you keep it the same, for you to recommend that you remain the same? I mean, just give us a little bit more information. And when you say if you don't have anything else, if you have to go the other route to mix it, well, go ahead and do it. Well, do you have information that says that you've had issues with that? What's the percentage? They don't give you any of that. So until I get clarity, for all it's worth out there, and again, let me preface what I'm about to say with this statement. You do what you think is best for you. Your doctor, I would recommend, if you have some confusion on this, of which way you want to go, get together with your doctor, take into consideration your unique situation. If you have underlying conditions, this and that, you're very concerned that there's not enough information on the booster. People in my case, I have a few more months, I think they're recommended 8-9 months. If since you've had it, you can take the booster. I think I'm close to that mark, but I think I have a little bit more time to make up my mind if I'm going to take it or not. But you make up your own mind. I don't know where I stand on this right now. I'm going to do some more research. I'm going to talk to my doctor. And as they say, the jury is, with me, is still out on this booster shot. I'm not getting nearly enough information that I can say, I feel confident that this booster is the right thing. And when you say that, my goodness, I just do not understand what's going on. This used to be respected in this country. Personal rights, your individual liberties in terms, especially with what you want to put into your own body. Because this body we have, it's our own property. It's nobody else's property. We own our own bodies. And that's why, murder is so bad, because you violate my property, my body, a person's possession. And when you have people conducting, especially government, policies that indicate that you really don't own your body, that you're just renting it from the government, You're leasing your body from the government, and they can void that lease anytime they want to and do whatever they want to you, either with economic policies, which affect you and your body, to actually physically invading your body if they so desire. So that to some people might seem an extreme position. To me, it's not. It's just what this country used to be all about, individual liberties. So that's where I stand on that. And I was going to talk. Oh, did you see that Trump launched his social media platform? I don't know the name of it, but it opened up on the market.
It's going to be called Truth.
Jose just gave me the word. It's Truth, the Truth platform. And from what we can tell here, the way they're marketing this new social media platform is it's not just conservative. Liberals are welcome. You won't be canceled. You can come on there, speak your mind. And I didn't know that they had gone public with this. Apparently they have today, and it opened up and shot up to, I think, $40 a share. It's down to now about $14, which is still a huge number for an IPO. So, things are getting very interesting on the social media front, because if you watch the so-called mainstream media, CNN, MSNBC, CBS, they all adopted this line when Twitter banned Trump and Facebook banned Trump. I think he was banned from Instagram as well. They collectively basically said the same thing, which was, hey, if you have a problem with this, go open up your own social media platform. It's a, quote, free country. You're a big free market guy, Trump. You got the means. Go open up your own social media platform. Well, he did. He did. They've kept it under wraps pretty good. You usually get some leaks out to, honestly, Fox News, because very friendly. Most shows were friendly on that network to Trump. So they usually get, some little heads up on the Hannity show, Carlson, those kind of shows. But Trump held his cards as the businessman that he is, very close to his vest. And nobody saw this come. They had heard talk, but they had no idea that it had come this far down the track to the opening that we have today. So it's going to be very interesting. I think it's good, whether you love Trump, whether you love Trump or hate Trump. If you care anything at all about free speech, you got to be happy for this. Competition is good. And we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about a hero, an unsung hero from the NBA named Enes Kanter. Probably haven't heard of him. Heard of LeBron James, Steph Curry, all that bunch, Kevin Durant. Probably haven't heard of Enes Kanter. Plays with the Boston Celtics. But this young man is absolutely a hero. And when we come back, I'm going to tell you why. Oh, we got social media back on. Look at that. Oh, gosh. Got my glasses on. I can see it. Pat Martell, great, frozen, and no audio. Okay. We're probably, are we going now, Jose? Pat Martell said we're frozen. No, but I think we're back on. Think they're having problems. Okay. Possibility. Yes, a lot of folks here. Facebook feed is behind the YouTube feed. Melissa Sneeze says, hello, everybody. Phone didn't go live for me. I hopefully we got them. Most of these comments are addressing the technical issues, so hopefully we got it worked out. But it happens in this old world from time to time. But gosh darn it, I've missed you folks. I really look forward to this hour every day. Let me give you, before we get back to radio, some exciting news. We're going to be debuting my reality series called Almost Home, November 21st. Here locally on Channel 26, the Fox affiliate, but we're looking to go nationwide syndication on that show. And so that's moving along. Very excited about that. Got 2 new features in development. We're moving the ball up the field in that regard. And I'll be ready to announce some particulars on that pretty soon. And then we're going to have a revamped YouTube channel up and going very, very soon. So you'll be able to keep up to date about everything that we're doing here. And what I'm doing with Autry Media Partners. We're very excited about the product we're going to be putting out, and just can't wait, like I said, to bring you all into it so you can just kind of go on this journey with me. I really am looking forward to that. I've never done that before, never really knew how to ride the social media horse, still don't, still got to hold on with both hands knowledge-wise, but I do know we have the capability to keep you informed and in a real, real visceral way in terms in real time how these movies get made. And I think you might get a kick out of it. So I'll have more to say probably in a couple of weeks on that front. I want to send a shout out to James. Hope you're feeling better, James, Susan, Laura, Betty, Lauren and Sean Roche, Isaiah, little Joe, my wife Kimberly, daughter Heather, Caden, who was on the show. We're going to bring him back. Since he takes care of a few things he's got to take care of. We'll have him back on the show. And just all the Facebook folks, just appreciate you so much. All right, we're going back on radio here in just a second.
Ten seconds.
You're listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX. Call Alan now, 559-899-1550.
And welcome back to the show. You know, we throw around the term hero and throw around the term champion as if they're one of the same, when in fact they can be completely, and many times are, different. Yes, a champion can be a hero, and a hero can be a champion. But here's the difference. A champion, especially in sports, excuse me, it means you engage in athletic competition, and regardless of how you behaved during that, no matter what you did to get that championship designation, if you win the game, the championship game, you are a champion. In any, it doesn't matter, what you did to get there. But a hero, you don't become a hero just because you're a champion. Hero comes with its own designation that you have to fit. You can't. It's not one on athletic competition. It's one by how you deal with situations much, much more important than that. Heroes don't get 60 points a game in basketball. Heroes don't throw for 50 touchdowns in a season or hit 65 home runs. Real heroes, for example, put on the uniform of this country and go lay their lives on the line for freedom, like our 13 soldiers that were killed over in Afghanistan recently, and all the other soldiers that paid the ultimate price for freedom. That's a hero. Police officers that put on that uniform, especially in today's day and time, and go out and put their lives on the line for us. That's heroes. The frontline workers during the COVID crisis that went out and put their lives on the line. Those are heroes. But every once in a while in the athletic world, a hero emerges, a real hero. I'm not talking about LeBron King James, who purports to be a champion for human rights, when in actuality, his compassion for the rights, human rights, are along the lines of Al Sharpton, Black Lives Matter, and Nike. They don't extend beyond one race, their own. Colin Kaepernick. You never hear these folks talk about human rights violations that affect anyone outside of their immediate race. True king, the real king, not King James, the real king was Martin Luther King, because his love, his compassion, his concern for human rights extended to all people. He's the one that said, injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. And injustice to anyone, regardless of their race, is injustice to everyone. That is a true king. That is a true hero. Not the limited, pretty much racist beliefs of the so-called human rights champions, of which many in the athletic world purport to be, and in the political world. When's the last time you've seen Al Sharpton speak out against anything of human rights violations going on in South America, in Eastern Europe, China, around the world? You don't. When's the last time you've seen Black Lives Matter include people of other races when they talk about oppression and racism? You don't. In fact, they took the phrase all lives matter and demonized it. They said somehow it denigrated Black Lives Matter if you include everyone else. You had to just limit it to Black lives. And this brings me to this young man, Enes Kanter, plays with the Boston Celtics. I don't normally read a full article, but this one's not very long, and I think you need to hear every word of it, because it says something about this young man, absolutely. And it really is an example of what a true hero is, because a true hero is willing to lay it all on the line, to lose everything for what's right. Martin Luther King was ready to lose and willing to lose everything for what's right, including his life, which he ultimately did. Okay, here goes. The headline says, Chinese media removes Boston Celtics games after center Enes Kanter's Free Tibet statements. Here goes. Boston Celtics games have been pulled off Chinese media after center Enes Kanter tweeted a 2-minute video of himself expressing support for Tibet and wore shoes with the phrase Free Tibet. I guarantee you they weren't shoes made by Nike. That's my editorial on it, not from the article. On them during Wednesday night's game against the New York Knicks. Quote, I'm here to add my voice and speak out about what is happening in Tibet. Under the Chinese government's brutal rule, Tibetan people's basic rights and freedoms are non-existent, Kanter said in a video posted Wednesday on Twitter and Instagram. He called Chinese President Xi Jinping a, quote, brutal dictator in the text when he posted a video and wore a shirt with the image of the Dalai Lama, Tibet's exiled spiritual leader. He followed that by wearing shoes designed by Badikeo, say that 3 times fast, Badikeo, a dissident China-born cartoonist and artist based in Australia. Thursday, Chinese Foreign Minister spokesman Wang Wenbin said that Kanter was, quote, trying to get attention and that his remarks were not worth refuting. Well, they may not be worth refuting, folks, but you watch what China did. It's how they do. They just lie constantly. No, we're not even going to address it. Then watch what they did. Chinese spokesman went on to say, we will never accept those attacks to discredit Tibet's development and progress, said the spokesman. Yeah, we're going to take on a future show a good look at what they consider progress in Tibet. The New York Times reported Thursday that Celtics games were pulled from Tencent, the Chinese company which streams NBA games. ESPN and Tencent have a content-sharing partnership, and Tencent is a rights partner of the NBA. Previous replays are no longer available, and upcoming games are not to be shown. Now get this. Also, games involving the Philadelphia 76ers are also not streamed in China. 2 years after then Houston Rockets executive Daryl Morey tweeted his support for the democracy movement in Chinese-ruled Hong Kong ahead of NBA preseason games in the country. Chinese state broadcaster CCTV stopped broadcasting NBA games after that. A Celtics fan page on Weibo, the Chinese version of Twitter that is wildly popular, said it would stop posting about the team in light of the Cantor statements. The NBA and Tencent have not commented on the situation. Cantor's remarks came on the day the Olympic torch arrived in Beijing in preparation for the 2022 Olympic Games, which have prompted calls for a boycott over Chinese treatment of Tibet, the Uyghur Muslims, and Hong Kong. Cantor has a long history of social activism. He has been an outspoken critic of Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan and was indicted in his home country in 2018 on charges of belonging to an armed terrorist group, which he denies. Turkey, which revoked his passport, is seeking his extradition. Let that sink in for a little bit. That, my friends, is a hero. There's a man whose love and compassion for his fellow human being goes beyond his status, beyond his race, beyond his religion, for all people. We talked about on this show, and some people thought I was exaggerating about what happened to Richard Gere. You don't see Richard Gere in many films now. He used to be one of the most popular actors in Hollywood. So many films, some good films, and then just disappeared. Well, he disappeared after he went off the Academy Awards and brought up the injustices in Tibet and the treatment of the Dalai Lama. The Chinese cancel culture machine went into full force. They told the Hollywood studios, whom they control, he's in a movie, don't show it here. You want our movie to finance your films? Don't ask for it. You want access to our people here and show the movie? Done. Don't expect that with a Richard Gere movie. Get rid of him and we'll talk some business. Well, they did. And if you recall, when Daryl Morey spoke up about the injustice in Hong Kong, Daryl Morey then was the general manager for the Houston Rockets. Who spoke up to shut him down? None other than LeBron James. The same LeBron James that got up on the ESPY Awards and said how he's so for the downtrodden, for the mistreated, for racism around the world anywhere, folded because it was going to mess a little bit with his pocketbook. This man is so obsessed with being a billionaire. Anybody that messes with his Moray messed with his Monet, and LeBron James demonized him, basically. And then showing that, he's not very well informed, went on to say that Daryl Morey needs to know more about what he's talking about before he puts people at risk. People at risk? LeBron, have you done a little research of how the Chinese Communist Party treats 1 million Uyghurs? The people in Hong Kong, their own people, the dissidents, how many people disappear? The Wuhan lab, the whistleblowers of the Wuhan lab, totally disappeared. We know where they are. They're either in prison or dead. Yet you are so obsessed with making a few dollars more on every sneaker that you don't have the courage to speak out. But Enes Kanter does. And I just tip my hat to this young man. And it's starting, to me, to feel like there are some backbones starting to form, not only in the sports world, but in the corporate world, where we just saw that Southwest Airlines just rescinded their order that the pilots that refuse to get vaccinated must go on unpaid leave. Well, Southwest Airlines has had time to do a little soul searching, and I think part of that soul searching looked into their bank account as well. But they rescinded that. They said you can come back, and we're going to stand up and go forward. Just recently, Burger King. In fact, not Burger King. My gosh, I mean In-N-Out Burger. Well, the whole Burger King follows suit. Jose, do we have that graphic that In-N-Out Burger, the spokesman, one of the top dogs in the in the corporation issued this statement when in San Francisco, their In-N-Out Burger at Fisherman's Wharf was ordered by the city of Fresno to check the papers, the vaccination papers of anyone eating in their restaurant. Now, that's taken this thing to the whole new level of human rights violations and overreach of a government. Totally unconstitutional. Yet the Constitution doesn't mean much to the far left, and particularly in San Francisco. But Jose is looking for that quote, but basically I'll paraphrase her. She says that the In-N-Out Burger will not check the papers of anyone, will not violate their civil rights for any government. Wow. That is a very, very strong statement. And one up to now, the corporate, okay, here it is right now. It's up on the, for those on Facebook can see it. It says, we refuse to become the vaccination police for any government. And that was from Arnie Wensinger, the spokesman for In-N-Out Burger, the national chain, not just this one store in San Francisco. That's a big thing. Corporate mayor, hopefully. See, nobody wants to be first. It takes a lot of courage to be first. When I hold our mayor accountable and police chief accountable, they don't want to be the first one to come up and say, okay, we're going to be tough on crime. Enough of this nonsense. Now, a week from Monday, we're going to have someone from law enforcement on the show. Sheriff Margaret Mims is completely different. She's not afraid to say, I'm going to come down tough on crime. Her fellow Sheriff Villanueva in L.A. County, not afraid. They, from day one, did not accept this crazy woke left, defund the police and run scared from these folks thinking you're going to be called a racist if you come down tough on crime. And you see crime in their counties going down instead of going up. So there's people out there, but that are doing the right thing. Just to be first, to have the courage to be first is very, very important because you will get others to follow. You know, it's and for In-N-Out Burger, for Southwest Airlines, two very big, prominent corporations in America, to take the stance that they have is encouraging. And for Enos Cantor to make the stand, I mean, that is a very, very strong stance. And it's going to be very interesting to see what the NBA does, because the NBA has just been subservient to Chinese whims, whatever they say, our own government, Joe Biden, totally under the thumb of the Chinese Communist Party. There's no doubt about it. You look and see the actions. They make no sense. And we would go down the litany, but you've heard them before. We're going to take a break here. I'm not going to, you know what they are. From Afghanistan to the border to what, leaving all the equipment over there. That was at the demand of the Chinese government, not the Taliban. Chinese are controlling. They're the puppet master in that part of the country. Make no mistake about it. And here was the NBA, Nike, coming out and saying, we are of China and we are for China. It's just like saying we are for slavery and we will support slavery. That's what you're doing with China. That's why they're able to undercut every other country, and that's why they produce pretty much all the things that are distributed around the world, and why we have a log jam in the ports in Long Beach and in Los Angeles, ships full of products from China. And they just, they control the deal. We've literally made a partnership with the devil. We've partnered with evil. And contrast that with what Harry Truman did after World War II, when he smelled out what the Soviet Union was all about. They were telling him, his advisors, the Soviet Union, they were allies. Russia was our allies in World War II. He saw what they were doing. He saw that evil system, the godless, oppressive system, and how it was spreading. And he, in fact, started the Cold War. He didn't partner with the Soviet Union. And for the next 40 years, the Cold War was waged. And America did not think for 1 second, how can we partner with communist Soviet Russia to make the world a better place? Because you would not. You would make the world a worse place. The Cold War was waged, and freedom and liberty won. When Ronald Reagan said, Mr. Gorbachev, take down this wall, there's no more Soviet Union now. It's only Russia. Because we stood up to the evil empire called the Soviet Union. Yet you have another evil empire trying to control the world and doing a darn good job of it, by the way, that instead of standing up to it, we've decided to partner with it. That does not end well for individual liberties and freedoms of a country. I'm just telling you right now. So very important. Enes Kanter, you go, young man. Hold your ground. And now that puts the NBA in a very interesting situation because the big eye's on them. Where do you stand? Where do you stand? Are you going to kick Enes Kanter off of the Boston Celtics, out of the league? Are you going to let him continue to speak out? What are you going to do, NBA? Are you going to side for good or are you going to side with evil? Simple as that. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I'm going to talk about these stimulus packages and give you a little bit of history on it, and we will take it up. We won't have enough show to get today to get really, really deep where I want to go, but we're going to get started. And hang around. I think you might find out some things that you didn't know. We'll be right back.
Don't sound too much. I'm going to tell you a little bit about this so that you understand what I'm talking about.
Wow. Okay, we've got some comments now. Jose, we're going good on social media now. People are hearing us. We got Barb James. Thank you, my dear. Melanie, Jennifer Vick. Jennifer said, I'd rather watch Bubba any day. How about Bubba's grandpa? Look at Bubba's grandpa now. We got to find a storyline, in the heat of the night, the later years. On there. Come up with some storylines and I'll pitch it to MGM, see what they do. Melanie Raymond, why is all that money necessary? What is enough? I say that too, Melanie. What is enough? Barb, that's the question, right? How much is enough? Barb says. If you are here in America, nearly the entire population, even the poorest of the poor, are in the top 1% of the richest people in the world. You can go and look at these studies, this data, that if you own a car, it doesn't matter what kind of car it is. If it just runs, it could be a Mercedes or it could be a used Rambler, 68 Rambler with 800,000 miles on it. If it could putt down the road and you've got a roof over your head and you can have a bologna sandwich every meal, that you are in the top 1% of the richest people in the world. Can't lose sight of that. I know when I read that, I was kind of, wow. I started thinking about it. Yeah. Did you see how the Haitians were living underneath a bridge in Del Rio, Texas? They were very resourceful people. They went to started taking the shrubbery that was around and started making shelter for themselves. And you realize how many people around the world live like that. Live in the huts in Africa, live in little stone caves in the Middle East. You start thinking about it and you go, wow, how many people have to walk where they need to go? Most people. The vast majority of the people. And here we have debates on whether we should be forced to have mass transit or own cars, this and that. It's a pretty amazing thing. We're also going to talk about this whole, I don't know if we get to it today, but it's tied into the stimulus package stuff, is the phrase, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer in the United States of America. That's absolutely false. And I'm going to explain why. I mean, it can be proven empirically that's absolutely a false statement. That if the rich get richer, that the poor get poorer. It's been exactly the opposite here in America. And it's something that's said all the time, especially from that's why the left wants income distribution.
15 seconds.
You don't distribute income. You earn income. You distribute newspapers and Social Security checks. That's what you distribute.
5 seconds.
You earn income.
You're listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX. Call Alan now. 559-899-1550.
And welcome back to Stimulus Thursday. We get right into it. We only have a few minutes left in the show. We're going to start this. I'm not going to try to speed read it because it's too important. What we leave hanging here, we'll try to hit some more tomorrow. Oh, no. Tomorrow's Free for All Friday with Stephen and Kim. I won't get one word in edgewise, which will please a lot of people. We'll try to continue it tomorrow. If not, definitely Monday, because I'll be by my lonesome there. All right. Now, you've heard of the New Deal, right? Franklin Delano Roosevelt's New Deal, and how the New Deal ended the Great Depression. Well, that's a nice thing to say, a notion that has been perpetrated for decades and decades. And I'm reminded of what Thomas Sowell said. So some statements are accepted as true because they can be empirically and demonstrably proven to be true, but other statements are accepted as true because they've simply been stated and reiterated so often. And this is the case with that the New Deal, all this massive government spending in the 30s, speeded up the end of the Depression. Exactly the opposite. It extended the Depression for several years. Here, let me tell you what I'm talking about. A little history lesson. Hang in here now. You know, prior to 1920, I keep hearing something in my ear. Hold on here. That's just squeaking me. I don't know what it is. I just heard some theme song music. That's a good intro to this segment, though, Jose. Yeah. Okay. We'll go through. I can live with the squeak. We got to get to this. After World War I, the economy struggled pretty heavily. When Warren Harding took over, 1921, he had two choices: to put some government investment in things or just let the free market do its thing, heal itself. It was a downturn, not a full depression, but a downturn. Well, Warren Harding did nothing. And the free market system, as it often does, healed itself. The economy started to get better and better. But then the Roaring Twenties kicked off. Now, the Roaring Twenties, it was a great party, but it was destined to implode for two major reasons. You had loose credit. Banks were just loaning to everybody, basically free money everywhere. Sound familiar? And stock market speculation was totally reckless. Stock market prices were doubling, tripling. In a matter of weeks, people got rich overnight on paper. Sound familiar today? Then in October of 1929, the stock market crashed. Now here's where it gets really interesting. It crashed. A month later, after the crash in October 1929, I think it was October 24th, exact date, the unemployment figure went up to 9%. Okay? But for the preceding next 6 months, it went down. Okay? It went down steadily, month by month, until June of 1930, when it was 6.3%. So goes steadily down from 9% to 6.3%. Well, what happened? Well, the free market system is like a good, strong human body. It heals itself. Sometimes you don't need medications. How many times you've seen somebody that's, taking 8, 9, 10 drugs and they just feel horrible, and the doctor says, you're over-medicated, or somebody who knows something about it, they get them off of 8 or 9 of those drugs, and the body heals itself, and they're like new. Happens all the time. But it was at that time Herbert Hoover had taken over for Calvin Coolidge, and the thing started happening. Of course, after the crash, and he decided that heavy government involvement was necessary. Now, if you listen to folks talk, the history books, you would think that Herbert Hoover was the tightwad. He was the one that didn't want to spend. I heard this from my mom and dad, that Roosevelt was the one who put in the bread lines, which he did, but hang on now. Herbert Hoover was ready to massive amounts of government money into the system in an attempt to turn around the economic situation, which was, mind you, remember, healing itself. Unemployment from 9 to 6.3, steadily going down. And the first thing he did was put in something called the Smoot Hawley Tariff on goods, foreign goods, to raise more money. And that went against the advice of, get this, 1,000 economists, some of the best economists in the country and the world, pleaded with Herbert Hoover, don't do this. It's going to kill jobs. It's going to make unemployment worse because people are not going to buy the products. You put the tariff on it, it's going to stop. Just don't do this. Hoover didn't listen to them, and he put in a Smoot-Hawley tariff, and unemployment immediately started to go up. He was going to put more into this government money into the system, phony money. And you know who was dead set against that? You guessed it. Frank Delano Roosevelt ran against this massive, massive spending. He took office on that premise that he was not going to do what Hoover did. Well, okay, he beats Hoover. He's in office now. And some of these government programs were all in place, putting this phony money in place. Stock market was still a mess. And what does Franklin Delano Roosevelt decide to do? He decides to do what Hoover was doing. We need more government infusion, more government interference, more government programs. So he started instituting them, one right after the other. There was some, the WPA, those sort of things. And yes, it provided some jobs for some people, but by every measure, that infusion hurt the economy and increased unemployment because big business, the stock market, didn't know what to believe. When's the next government program going to come down, or government regulation? He started over-regulating businesses, trying all of these theories that his highly educated experts around him, who had never held down a real job actually, tell him they should do. So it got worse. Unemployment started to tick up and steadily going up till the late 30s, when it was, actually hit double digits that year of 1933 and kept going up till it was 25%, I believe, by 1935, and stayed at 25% throughout the decade. What got us out of the Depression was World War II. Not the government spending. It was absolutely a reversal. It hurt the economy. It increased unemployment. It was a total, by every measure, total failure. Now, I will say this. What came out of it, I think the best thing came out of it was Social Security. But that wasn't a government spending. It forced people to put a little money aside for their retirement. So as money you've already earned, you got to make a bank account here, which makes some sense on a lot of levels. So that's a good thing that came out of it. And we got about 50 seconds left in this show, but we're going to talk about the stimulus package that Obama put in, which was mirrored on the New Deal, and the effects it had, and these massive, massive stimulus bills that are being put before Congress right now, which will absolutely destroy our economy if they're allowed to pass as is. Because what we don't want to do is start World War III to try to get us out of a depression. This is Alan Autry. Boy, I appreciate you tuning in. God bless you. God bless your family. And Ennis Cantor, God bless you, son. And you keep standing up for what you believe, because you got a lot of people behind you, people that you don't even know pulling for you. We love you, and good Lord willing, creek don't rise. We're going to do it again tomorrow, Free for All Friday. Bye-bye now. Oh, folks, Facebook folks, interesting stuff, isn't it? I know a lot of you out there, like me, had bought in to this notion that massive government spending in the 30s is what brought us out of the Great Depression. Totally opposite. And I'm going to share this with my radio audience as well, but just give you a little teaser here. The same companies that Franklin Delano Roosevelt tried to demonize, because he became a real far left guy. He felt government was the answer to everything. He had, after Pearl Harbor, he had to go to the private sector because he realized federal government doesn't produce anything. Federal government doesn't produce tanks, doesn't produce cars, doesn't produce weaponry, doesn't produce anything. And he needed the private sector to step up and produce in order to rebuild a Navy that was almost completely destroyed at Pearl Harbor in order to win the war. So you saw a partnership between government and the private sector, which we have never seen before or since. And it was really a beautiful thing because they were bound together by one common goal, and that was to defeat fascism and preserve freedom and liberty in the United States of America. And we have to find what binds us together, and it's still liberty and freedom. And some people take that for granted. You have the far left wokesters who really don't even want that. They feel, honestly, in their hearts, we'll be better under a Marxist state, which is, it's depressing to think. It's frightening to think about that these folks have so much influence on business, on our schools, in government, and they've got to be stopped. You have Ennis Cantor standing up against this type of stuff. You have In-N-Out Burger standing up, Southwest Airlines standing up, and we have to stand up. And if that means just at the dinner table, it doesn't mean in an abrasive way or name-calling way. It's just stand up saying, you say that, so I guess we're in a conversation. I'm going to tell you how I feel. No disrespect, but I think you're wrong. And I'm going to stand up for what I think is right. Let's try to find some common ground. And if we do that, and we're not intimidated by what comes back at us, because that's the tactics of the left, of the far left. They try to entice you with goodies, with stuff that feels good. And if you don't go along, if you don't exchange your liberty and freedom for those goodies they're promising you, then they go on the tack. And they don't go after to hit you in the shoulder or the kneecap. They go for your jugular. They want to send a stake through your heart. They want you gone. They want you canceled. And our decision, the choice we have to make, who believes this country of God, family, and country, and freedom and liberty, individual liberties and freedoms are not only important, but essential foundational components that this station and the people that are of this generation must be willing to pay the ultimate price for, just like they did on D-Day. And now those amphibian boats, a third of them knew they were going to die. And they still did it because freedom and liberty, not for just them, but their kids and grandkids, was a principle worth dying for. Ennis Cantor, he knows. I mean, my goodness, they're trying Erdogan in Turkey. They're trying to get him extradited. What do you think's going to happen to him if he goes back to Turkey? He knows what's at stake. But somewhere in that young man's heart, he said, there's a bigger purpose for me on this planet. And human rights for all is one of them. I'm willing to pay the ultimate price and stand up for the rights for everyone. Be treated with dignity and capture and keep the freedom that they deserve as human beings. So anyway, I love you, appreciate you, and I hope you can join me for a Free for All Friday. If you like the show, please tell people to go to KXEX, watch it, share it with other folks, because the more we can grow our audience, the more our message can get out to folks. And hopefully it's a message that you could be proud of being a part of. Because I read the things when I go home, the emails, and there's some criticisms of me in there. That's fine. That's okay. That gives me a chance to explain things. And even after I explain them, we may not still be on the same page, but we'll respect one another. Because on the next issue or this issue over there, we probably will align perfectly. We can help one another. So anyway, I know I say it a lot, but dadgummit, I feel it a lot. And that is, I love you and I thank you for being part of this.